It's cloudy today, less people on the trails. Probably everyone's out enjoying the festivities with the Dragon Boat festivals and stuff still. And what did I read today? While there are festivities here, there's conflict around the world, as you know. For example, with the US bombing Iran, I guess with all the news today, everything seems so gloomy and all about weapons and so forth too. How about this first one? Apparently, there's a hexacopter drone designed with an armed rifle. This one says, AFIT develops rifle-armed hexacopter drone. The Air Force Institute of Technology has taken a bold step forward in aerospace and defense engineering with the unveiling of its latest creation, a rifle-armed hexacopter drone designed to sharpen precision in combat operations. This development, announced by Professor M. Alimony, AFIT's Director of Research and Development, took place at the 4th African Air Forces Forum in Lagos, Nigeria. It reflects AFIT's ongoing mission to position itself as a world-class institution and the top choice for those pursuing studies in aerospace and defense technology. The new hexacopter stands apart from earlier bombed-armed versions, showcasing a fresh approach to unmanned aerial vehicles that could reshape Nigeria's military capabilities. I've seen stuff like this before. You've seen those ones with handguns as well, just in terms of weaponizing them. There are those videos where you've seen drones flying around with flamethrowers, for example, but that's meant more for actual job applications. For example, burning material, for example, high up in the air. So in that sense, I'm not too surprised to see stuff like this. And in terms of how well it performs, it says it can climb to an altitude of 400 meters and cover a distance of 40 kilometers in just 40 minutes, offering a swift and far-reaching eye in the sky. Its name hexacopter comes from its 6 legs, a design that supports an array of sophisticated features. Equipped with a GPS system, an autopilot system, and a communication system, and a camera system, the drone is built for precision and adaptability. And can you imagine this, where you're an army, you send out all these drones with rifles and so forth, and someone just hacks into the system? Nope, point this way instead. I wouldn't doubt that would happen too, but either way, every country trying to get ahead in terms of weaponized drones. As well, more officials using drones, I guess, to police their areas. How about this one? It says, new team of police officers first to be equipped with off-road vehicles, drones on patrol. A specialist police unit has acquired a fleet of off-road vehicles to help officers navigate rough, unpaved terrain and floodwaters to respond more quickly to public security incidents. The cars will be used by the Protective Security Command's newly established Strategic Location Response Teams, which were officially implemented on June 22. And of course, I guess one of the big deals are the fact that they're going to use things like drones. And it says, while such patrols are a mainstay of PROCOM operations, SLR officers are the first to be equipped with drones and counter-drone technology such as handheld drone jammers. Can you imagine this in the future, where it's already happening now, where a lot of times when people see a drone, they automatically assume it's something nefarious, like it's spying on them? So what would happen if they call the police and they see a drone, for example? Let's just say it's up in the air. Would a police officer have a right to take it down, like in this case, because somebody feels uneasy about it? That would be kind of the thing I would imagine in the future if this actually continues. Although they do emphasize here too, it's to take down, quote, unauthorized drone operations. So it's meant more, for example, if there's various leaders meeting up, like in those G7s, for example, versus, I guess, some kid flying around, then theoretically you shouldn't, if what they're doing is perfectly okay, versus someone just being paranoid about it. And as you know, there was that huge news yesterday of the US bombing Iran, saying they took out all their nuclear sites, if that's what you want to say, in terms of developing deadly weapons, potentially, and all that. And you can see there was a lot of videos, I guess, of the aircrafts flying back in general at first. Like this one here says, B-2 bombers land back at Whiteman Air Force Base today in Noster, Missouri, after about a 36-hour flight to strike targets in Iran. 7 B-2s took off from Whiteman just after 12 a.m. on Saturday. The first bombers back landed just before 12 p.m. Sunday. There was so much talk about how they carried this out with things, for example, like distractions, where they sent dummy planes going west, when in reality, I guess, the ones that were actually doing the bombing was going east. So many people were blind to the information, even like the media and all that. So it was a really sophisticated operation. But with that in mind, people are worried about retaliation. Is Iran gonna attack the US, I guess, back, especially, I guess, within their own country, let's just say with terrorist types of acts. That is the concern, obviously. And people aren't sure if this is the case, but apparently this happened just recently, where apparently there was a shooting at a church in Michigan. It occurred at a place called CrossPointe Community Church in Wayne, Michigan, and a man apparently drove a truck into the church and opened fire during the service. From the sounds of it, the guy actually injured a security guard only to be taken out by him. I guess that was fortunate, as all the families were protected in general. They don't know exactly what's going on, so it's still being investigated, but you can imagine with the recent events, everyone is saying this is a retaliation, for example, I guess, for people who support Iran. Now, who is the person in general? According to the reports, it's somebody named Brian Browning. Now the question is, which Brian Browning, I guess, in the world per se? So the reason why people are suspecting this might be the guy, I don't know currently, but you can see this weird social media post. It was posted back in May 27th from a Brian Browning. It says, SVN's 511 have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Then it says, Luke 12:3, what have you said in the dark will be heard in the daylight, and what you have whispered in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed from the roofs. And it says, you have not only lied to men, but you have lied unto the Spirit of the Lord. His blood is on your hands. And it says, CrossPointe Community Church. And again, there's a picture there with him taking a selfie of sorts. So it makes you wonder, is this the same guy with all that? And there was a bunch of other weird posts too. So as you can imagine too, a lot of people are worried about retaliation, especially around high profile events. I know actually there's supposed to be some WWE event at Saudi Arabia soon. And they're thinking because it's so close to Iran and everything like that, plus it's technically, I guess, an American company, they may be targeted as well. Can you imagine if that actually happened in that regards? Even though they say, for example, a lot of people in Saudi Arabia, they don't actually support Iran and their regime per se. I guess it's one of those things too. Do you live in constant fear or live it day by day? And I guess in general, it's kind of like the separation. Read all the crazy news that's happening, get informed, but at the same time, you still have to go out and so forth and enjoy the day, I say. All right, see you guys later.